first, let me reiterate that I took over from him as a minority leader. And so I kind of know him, know his wife very well. I know that he jokes a lot.
Akpabio, right?
Yes. He's fond of making little fun out of everything.
Or would you call it unguarded statements?
Not unguarded, but he loves to make everything light. And you see, when you do that, you become very vulnerable. So it makes him very vulnerable. I saw what they all went through as men when I was there. They were all victimized by people from outside. And I had to rescue them all of the time.
What do you mean victimized?
You see, it's difficult to explain what they go through there. And so they make light of every issue. Most of the men there go through a lot themselves. It's not as easy as you see it. They also internalize a lot of things. You find people calling them from outside, putting their wives on the spot and making different issues out of nothing. And so they also go through that. And I've had to support some of them to even go home to say, no, this can't be true. So they are all very vulnerable.
Okay, now we don't have all the time, very limited time, but I want to put these two questions across to you. You can manage it in 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes. What's your take on the 103 billion naira suit filed by Akpabio against the Senate President and others? And then secondly, the bill on female gender against women was eventually passed. It eventually passed secondly, but initially it was rejected by some women in the Senate. What was about it?
The case in court, I want to appeal to her to please take the case out of court. Because you see, we don't want women to look like they're emotionally unstable. We need to also be strong enough to face the men. I mean, going to court against the presiding officer is not on. I know she's hurt, but she needs to handle it in a better way. I think that should get out of court.
Allegations. It was quite explosive watching Natasha, Senator Natasha Udwa, on the morning show today, where she reeled out quite a number of allegations. The sins of Akpabio, if you permit me to put it that way. Number one, unwelcome sexual advances. Number two, obstructed her legislative work, after she rejected him. And three, deliberately blocked her motions from being heard, especially on investigating the Ajakuta, steel company. Well, all of this actually started over the issue of the Senate seat. And here we are.
Yeah.
What do you make of this?
We must give context. Let's give context.
Yeah.
As you rightly pointed out. First and foremost, thank you for having me. It was issue of seat reallocation, and which we have heard from Senator Ireti, that 4 times now her own seat has been changed and nobody heard anything from the Senate. I think this is the first time they are changing the seat of Senator Natasha. And you saw what happened in the House that day. There was a senator that read the Red Book and said, this is the provision of the Red Book, that for you to be heard, you must move to the seat that is allocated to you. So one would have thought that she will, and then probably raise her concerns because she has a right to be heard. It's important. But she refused to. And then according to her, I listened to her this morning that many persons came and pleaded with her. And she said she would not budge. One of the worst things that can happen to any man or a woman is that if you don't have any person you listen to, there are certain persons that are very difficult. They will tell you, oh, meet this person. If you go to this person, he will talk to this individual, he will listen. But if you're on earth, neither man nor God can talk to you, then there is a problem. That day, she recounted it here, that she didn't listen to all the people that came and pleaded with her. So she became very riotous. And my own take is that the right procedure? For you, really, you have concerns, and maybe you felt that you were aggrieved. Yeah, you have a right to redress.
Speaking of procedure, let me just quickly butt in here. Yeah, what exactly is the procedure in the Senate, in the Red Chamber,
I agree with you
when it comes to moving the seat of a senator from point A to point B? Would they be pre-advised?
No.
Or it just, they just come to, to the chamber only to realize that the seat has been changed?
There has been the procedure. If you look at section 6, 1 and 2, it says the president has that right to reallocate. It's at his own discretion. And they have even stated the reason why they had to do that reallocation. And so when she came, first of all, when you enter into the Senate chambers, you look for where your name is, because at any point in time, it could be rearranged. And then you find your name, then you now sit down there. So when she came, she went straight to where she was sitting. And somebody came to point out to her, oh, madam, this is no longer your seat and all that. And she was making a fuse. And there were some students that were there in the hall and all that, and they were not until the Senate president walked in, and then proceedings started. And then I think it was a minority whip that actually read the rule and said this is the right thing. And so the president, I really agree that move to your seat. Then if you have any concern, then you can raise it from that, because that is the rule. There is no any provision for prior notification. It's not there in the rule. I have gone through the rule 6, 1 and 2. There is no issue of informing you in advance. Now she was very riotous, and everyone saw that. So my take is that there was a similar incident, with Senator Akpabio when he was in the house.
Yes, and the video is
beautiful.
Yeah.
Immediately that scenario and proper explanation was done to the senator, the most distinguished. He came back and said, "Gentlemen, distinguished senators, I'm very sorry," and that was sign of humility. So I would expect that, look, with these things that happened with Akpoti being a first timer, others have come to her and said, "This is correct situation. You went wrong. You went overboard." She would have done that the following day. I said, "I'm sorry," but the next thing she did was going to barricade the radio. Again, that is an issue. Then the next one yesterday, all of us were, hearing from her platform, that she's going to appear in your television, and everyone was thinking that she's going to talk about the issue of her behavior in the house. That was what I was expecting. But the next thing we heard was the issue of sexual harassment, and there is no connection between what transpired with the issue of rearrangement of a seat and this sexual harassment that, according to you, took place in 2023.
However,
Yes.
Senior Advocate, this is where we have found ourselves.
That's right.
Sexual harassment, given the gravity of these allegations,
That's right.
should the Senate President be speaking? Should he be responding? We've heard from his media aide.
That's right.
But should he be speaking? And what are the laws in Nigeria really regarding sexual harassment in workplaces? And when it involves, senators and the most powerful number 3 citizen of a country.
Now, we heard it from her wife, and your wife, who, the greatest and the nearest person to you in life is your spouse, your wife, or your husband, says, "My husband respects women." You remember that this man had been a commissioner, had been a governor, this man had been a minister, had been a senator, now has come back again as a senator, now Senate President. And in all these positions this man had held, being governor of a state, no woman have ever made any allegation of any sexual harassment. As a minister, as a senator.
One as a minister.
That's Mrs. Joy. Of course, you know the story and all that.
From the end of this
and now, if you make an allegation, you must provide evidence. Look at the issue of sexual harassment that this woman was talking about today. I was listening.
What does the law say about this?
Well, it's issue of sexual harassment. Of course, if it's proven, of course, there is liability. Of course, we also in Nigerian Bar Association believe that women should not be harassed in their workplace. Are you following me? You should be free as a human being to work in an atmosphere that is free from any harassment. I'm one of the advocates for women rights and liberation and making sure that they work under a very conducive atmosphere. But I'm looking at her story, that you were being chased when you were with your husband. In the house where you have other senators.
We can actually spend all night talking about all of those. But I want to ask, I'm curious. Yes, I'm sure there's a law, or there are laws in Nigeria that protect women from sexual harassment in the workplace. Specifically in the Senate or the National Assembly.
Everywhere.
We even heard from Ireti Kingibe say that the Senate wasn't always gender friendly, but it's improving now. Are there laws or rules in the Senate or the National Assembly that protect women, being in the minority, extreme minority for that matter, from this kinds of situation?
In fact,
and are they protected, or is this the first time that any female lawmaker would be talking about?
There is a law that is even applicable in a federal, capital territory, in any harassment against violence against women. Women, especially, this issue of sexual harassment, you cannot in any way commit such a crime or an offense and go scot-free. There is a law against it. So, but you must also prove it. It's not a question of, if I have any, slight disagreement with you in a workplace, you now go out and say sexual harassment.
You think she might be weaponizing the
She is weaponized. There's falsehood, total falsehood in all this. Because look at the put context to it. According to you, this matter was not even related to your husband. Your husband was there, according to you, in the presence of where you were chased. And your husband came and asked you, and you didn't even relate to him. Only for your husband to come and hear about sexual harassment on a television.
All right, Senior Advocate, for want of time, I do apologize. This is the news. It's not a magazine program, and we do apologize for butting in.
Problem.
But you didn't get to my question about what the Senate President should be doing at this point. Should we be hearing from him? I've had some conversations say perhaps he should step aside for independent inquiries into this gravity of these allegations. He should step aside like we've seen in other jurisdictions. What's the next step for him? What should he be doing?
It then means that if any person tomorrow just alleges sexual harassment against Mr. Bani, I will step down as a lawyer, I will step down as a senior advocate of Nigeria. You have to provide evidence. For whether the Senate President will respond personally depends on whether he wants to do that. But
We've
as I
heard
speak to
from
you,
his wife
yes,
that
he's
she'll go to
the
court.
closest person
Will
has done
he
that.
be-
If you
himself-
want to hear from him
will he
at
go
any
to the
point in time,
court?
if he wants to,
Right.
because but of course the legal team is considering legal option also. We are also looking at it because it's purely defamatory.
Oh, are you saying you're on the legal team of the Senate
No,
President?
they said the legal team.
A legal
Of
team,
course,
okay.
they're all considering whether what she has said is worthy for us to proceed for legal reprieve. Are you following me?
Yes.
But I'm telling you this. Everyone is not happy with the way this woman is trying to destroy an
We've
institution
heard-
that
Well,
is
the
very
ethics
bad.
committee is
Yes.
set up by the Senate.
Yes.
Will they be investigating these allegations
Of course.
alongside
Now,
other?
you must make your petition known. It's important that if you have any allegation, and of course all the senators have said it, there is always, a room for you to ventilate whatever your grievances are, which can be resolved. They look at it and say, oh, you have a right, or what you have said is right. No, has she put up any petition before any committee before now? Has she reported this matter before any police? Even your husband was not made known to, you didn't even reveal this to him, only because of shit reallocation. You now got so angry now that the next thing you told the entire world, hear me tomorrow. And all of us now got up to hear what transpired in the Senate, only for you to allege
Do you think
sexual
if she had
harassment.
been listened to,
me,
she had been listened to
yes.
under Order 10,
Yes.
which she came under,
Yes.
things would not have gone.
Beautiful. That other tense is subject to you being in the proper seat allocated to you, so that even the privilege you are raising, a motion without being listed, okay, stay there, express your concern. Mr. President, I just came to the house today. I discover you have put me in a different seat. What is going on? Can I get? And then you will be heard. But at that point, she was in the wrong seat, and you still insisted on being heard.
For clarity,
we'll have to look at
Mrs.
that.
Akpabio says she's instituting a legal challenge.
Yes.
Are you saying that the Senate President can also institute, or can she just go with that?
Issue of locus will come in, personal, issue of defamation. If she feels that she has also been defamed, by the statement, because defamation, it must communicate it, it must reduce your, reputation before the ordinary human being in the society.
Right.
If she feels that whatever distinguished Senator Natasha has said has really defamed her as a wife of Senator Akpabio, she has a right of action, and the court will look at all the surrounding and whatever the facts are in order to say, oh, you deserve to be heard.
All
All right,
You
we'll
deserve
have to
access.
live with that.
It's
Monday,
quite
Obani.
unfortunate that
Thank
the
you very
National
much.
Assembly that should be making the laws
Yeah.
has been reduced to all of this controversy.
You listen to this woman and the guy, the man. This one is a former former majority leader. This woman, she's the one talking like this. Said he should take that case out of the court. Take that case out of the courts. I said something yesterday in that video. I said, not really because these people needed money. Akpabio's wife, that they now file another lawsuit, 250 billion, two separate lawsuits against Natasha. They just want her to take that case out of the court. They can just go and settle because, yes, just to take that case, she will be forced to take it out of the court and probably apologize, despite the fact that she is the victim. She had evidence to the accusations. Nobody knows. That's how you see. A lot of people will be coming to explain. Do you understand? People in Natasha's side, with Akpabio's side, but you see people neutral who just want to balance the issues. Do you understand? Who just want to balance the issues. You see, this second man. This is a barrister. I think some people know this man. He's a barrister talking like this, right? The matter is in the court. Nobody have any right to speak on the matter. Is before the court. We are waiting for the court to decide what they are going to say and ask both parties to do, right? But if the court wants to look at this case, you know Nigerian judge court, our learned judges, understand. So one thing you should know is they don't look at public opinions to judge issues to decide. No, they look at the law, and that law they are going to first of all look at this matter started in that Senate House. What happened in that Senate House? That's where they will first of all address that part. Everybody sees that the Natasha was wrong in that Senate House, that plenary session. She was wrong. Nobody is saying what she's alleging a Senate president for that. She's lying or she's not lying. She knows she's saying the truth. But you and I, we are only guessing. Could it be true or not? We were not there. This same woman accused Reno before of this is sexual harassment. She accused Dino Melaye. I think she also accused Reno Omokri before. You see? Yeah, I think she accused Dino Melaye before. She also accused Reno Melaye before of this sexual harassment. Now, Senate President. Do you understand? So, the court will first of all look at what happened in that Senate House. She was, if Senate President, if it is true, that one is outside the court. But what happened in that Senate House? Senate President was still in order. Senate President was not out of order. But angrily, out of anger, the woman was out of order and disobeyed the Senate order. They will tell you the law you swore to uphold, you disobey in that plenary sessions. Do you understand? This is not to say Natasha, she's a strong woman, no doubt. She fought her way through before she get in there. You could remember how she fought Yahaya Bello. Everything happens during that election. She fought her way through the matter in the court. At the end of the day, she succeeded. She became a senator. Kudos to her. She tried. She did very well. But there are some issues when you know where people you are dealing with. You just overlook some issues. You know, before this time, I think some people said, even on that interview, she never told her husband what happened that time until that interview session. But anyways, I think I read the statement from her husband. Her husband have already defended her on that sexual harassment allegations against the Senate President. Her husband have already defended her on that. So the court will decide, will tell us the truth. Now, what we are going to see, if she is going to take this matter out of the court, withdraw the case, or still want to proceed, and what happened in the end. The court will surely decide, tell her what to do. Do you understand? And tell the Senate President what to do. But I doubt if she continue with this case, if she's ever going to win over Senate President, despite the evidence that she got. That's what we are saying. But is it not better they just settle this off the camera? And if she take that matter off, because I think the major thing here, issue is that apology and retracting that statement. Go to the Guardian newspaper, This Day newspaper, come to television houses to retract those statements. I think that one will make it more difficult. If she withdraw the case, they settle on the ground, there might be no need to go to the newspaper to retract, to see or come to come to television houses, media houses to retract. So they can just settle that on the ground. So if you not hear about this issue, you don't die, no problem. You know, we'll come, they ask questions again. Do you understand? Because at the end of the day, I do not see anyhow. I don't think so. Anyways, we are watching. What do you think? Please share this video.